Dear students, welcome to the poem Television written by Roald Dahl'S, and we have already discussed the different bad effects of watching TV as can be seen in case of very small children. First of all, the poet advises us not to allow small children to watch televisions, and if you are unable to debar them, it will be better for us not to purchase and install any televisions at home. Why? Because small children, by watching televisions constantly for several days, lose the power of their eyesight, and again, while sitting comfortably, cozily on a sofa or a seat, taking their studies, their breakfast, they are bound to spill them down. And what more, these programs meant for small children are so interesting, so exciting, so entertaining that they feel hypnotized, they feel magicated by these programs, and unknowingly they absorb some bad things into their lives. According to the poet, these bad things are shocking, ghastly junk, as junk food, fast food, roadside food is not good for health. Similarly, all the entertaining programs which are televised, which are made for small children, they are not good for their mental health. Okay. Now come to the second part of the poem. We are discussing the poem quite critically. Now we know that watching TV by our children is very bad. Then why we allow, especially our mothers allow small children to watch TV? What are the plus points? What are the advantages of watching TV, allowing small children to watch TV? OS, we know it keeps them still. Come to line 16. We know it very well. We means all the parents know it very well that if we allow small children to watch TV, they will sit constantly without any movement. Still means constant. OS, we know it keeps them still. They don't climb out the window sill. They never fight or kick or punch. They leave you free to cook the lunch. What are other points? What are other advantages? They do not climb on the window sill. They do not climb on the window so that there will be chance of falling down and breaking their legs. When they watch TV, when they entertain themselves by watching TV, they forget to climb on the window sill. They forget to fight among themselves. They forget to exchange blows, fists and kicks among themselves. पिलामानकु जदि आमे टीवी देखा छाड़ीदेबा, पिला माने पूरा स्थाणु स्थिर होइकी बसिबे, से माने कोनसी झरका बरगा उपरे चढ़िबे नाही, किबा परस्पर भितरे मुथ मरामरी गोइठा मरामरी हेबे नाही, फाइटिंग करिबे नाही, एंड देयर बाय द मदर्स आर गिवन चांसेस, दे फाइंड ए स्कोप टू फिनिश द लंच. When the children are still, when they are constantly watching the television, they are not fighting, they are not in brawls. Mothers are free to prepare lunch, midday meal, and they can also, after taking the lunch, they can also wash the utensils. माँ माने आराम रे बिना प्रतिबंधक रे मध्याह्न भोजन प्रस्तुत करि परिबे एवं बासन मध्ये धोई परिबे. But did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved tot? We are free, we are not disturbed, we are not worried about our children. We prepare food, take food, we wash the utensils, the dishes under the sink, under the flowing water. But do we ever stop a while, think a while, ponder a while, wonder a while what this watching TV does to our small children, to our beloved tot, to our beloved children? आमे केबे क्षणक पाई चिंता करंती कि जे टीवी देखिया द्वारा आमर से प्रिय पिला माने कर कौन असुविधा हुए? It rots the sense in the head, it kills imagination dead, it clogs and clutters of the mind, it makes a child so dull and blind he can no longer understand a fantasy, a fairyland. Now you see, all the lines from it rots the sense from 25 to 33. All the lines are written in capital letters. And again, you might have observed, you might have marked the initial words just like it repeated 4 times, and in the previous stanza we have already discussed they repeated thrice. When there is a repetition of the first words of a line, that is called anaphora. Anaphora is a poetic device, it is a figure of speech. Anaphora होउची गोटे अलंकार, गोटे फिगर ऑफ स्पीच, गोटे पोएटिक डिवाइस जो थिरे कि प्रारंभिक शब्दर पुनरावृत्ति होता है, बारंबार से शब्द गुड़िक रिपीट होता है. दे एपर देखो इट. Now the poet gives emphasis on the bad side effects of watching TV by small children. To draw our attention, to focus on the adverse effects, the poet has written them in capital letters. Now, what are the bad effects? It rots the sense in the head. That means watching TV destroys, spoils the sensibility, the good sense, reasoning power in the mind of the small children, and it kills imagination dead. Apart from making them numbskulls, making them idiots, nonsenses, it also deprives them from being imaginative, from being fanciful. सेमानंकर जो विचार शक्ति नष्ट पाई जाए एवं जो कल्पना शक्ति रही, इमेजिनेशन पावर रही, सेटा मध्य नष्ट हो जाए. तामाने आवर चिल्ड्रेन वाचिंग टीवी फॉर ए लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम बिकम इडियट्स. They become insensitive, they become insensible, and they lack the power of fantasy, imagination. And this is very essential, because if you are not imaginative, if you cannot foresee future, you cannot plan for it, and sometimes you cannot also tackle different life situations. यदि आमे सेति कल्पना करि परिबा नहीं, भविष्य चिंता करि परिबा नहीं, बेले आमे जीवन में जो विभिन्न सब समस्या आसुची तार समाधान करि परिबा नहीं, एटा होची असुविधा. It clogs and clutters of the mind. It makes a child so dull and blind. Clogs and clutters of the mind. The mind becomes jammed. The mind becomes blocked. It becomes ineffective, inactive. Why? As several facts, several informations block up the working of our mobile phones. Similarly, when unwanted junk, unwanted things are fed to the minds of the small children, they clutter up, they jam, they fill up the mind, having no vacuum, no vacancy to imagine, to store important things. तो पिलामानकर मनटा पूरा विभिन्न अदरकारी जिनिस रे भर्ती हो जाए, माइंडटा जाम हो जाए. आउ से कौन करती? इट मेक्स ए चाइल्ड सो डल एंड ब्लाइंड ही कैन नो लॉन्गर अंडरस्टैंड. इट मेक्स ए चाइल्ड सो डल एंड ब्लाइंड. इफ यू डू नॉट डू एनी फिजिकल लेबर, इफ यू आर leading a very comfortable cozy life, you do not come down from your sofa, then you become quite lethargic, quite dull, quite lazy, and again other than watching the television program you cannot see anything good in life. TV देखिया व्यतीत आमे अन्य कौन जिनिस देखिया को पसंद करते आम भल लगे ना, एवं आमे पूरापूरी मांदा अलसुआ हो जाती. तेणु छोट पिला माने पूरा जदि छोट दिनरू कम बयस से माने एमती खाली टीवी देखुथिबे बसिकी से माने अलसुआ हो जिवे. आओ भल कौन मंद कौन से विचार कर परिबेनी. दे विल बिकम ब्लाइंड फिजिकली एंड मेंटली. ही कैन नो लॉन्गर अंडरस्टैंड ए फैंटासी, ए फेरी लैंड. दे विल फेल टू डिस्टिंग्विश बिटवीन, डिफरेंशिएट बिटवीन व्हाट इज fantasy, fanciful, unreal, and what is real. तेणु वास्तव एवं अवास्तव, कल्पना एवं सत, आ भितर जो प्रभेद रही, जो प्राचीर रही, पिला माने बुझी परिबेनी. कहीं ना बिकॉज दे ओनली रोम इन द लैंड ऑफ फैंटासी. जेहेतु पिला माने काल्पनिक दुनिया रे, जो काल्पनिक जगत जोटा जोटा कि कल्पनार सृष्टि होती विभिन्न प्रोग्राम ताकू देखा द्वारा वास्तवता ठारू से दूरे जाती. हिज ब्रेन बिकम्स आज सॉफ्ट as cheese. His powers of thinking rust and freeze. He cannot think, he only sees. His brain becomes as soft as cheese. As without physical exercise our muscles remain soft, similarly without mental exercise our brain also becomes soft. The poet compares the brain of a child doing no mental exercise with cheese. Here we have a figure of speech that is called simile, simile. And what is simile? Simile means comparing two dissimilar objects indirectly. जेतेबेले आमे दीटा भिन्न भिन्न वस्तु भितर तुलना करिबा आ तांको भितर गोटे सामंजस्य, गोटे सिमिलारिटी, सेमलांस गोटे एस्टाब्लिश करिया पई चेष्टा करिबा, दैट इज कॉल्ड सिमिली. तेणु एठी कवि जो पिला माने कोनोसी मानसिक परिश्रम करती नहीं, मेंटल एक्सरसाइज करती नहीं, सेमानकर ब्रेन को छेना सहित तुलना करछन्ति. His powers of thinking rust and freeze. Power of thinking माने देखिबार जो शक्ति जोटा, the power of thinking rust and freeze. When a piece of iron, a bar of iron is exposed to light, air and water vapor, it gathers some stain, some rust, it becomes useless. Similarly, the brain of a small child, watching TV continuously for several years, that brain becomes useless because that brain cannot be utilized for thinking purposes. Why? Because he only sees, he cannot think. Only he is utilizing only one sense organ, that is eyesight, and he is making himself dull. He is not exercising his brain, not exercising his mind, and therefore forever his power of thinking, power of solving different problems, power of distinction, all these things are gone. And in this poem, the message is, we should encourage, we should inspire our loving children for whose future we are so much worried, to read more and more books. The habit of reading has become past. Nowadays people are watching television, they are getting different informations from different parts of the world, they are getting entertainment, everything by watching TV and reading newspaper, reading books, reading novels, reading stories. These things are gone. Therefore the poet advises parents to keep small children away from watching TV, whatever program might be broadcast there. Better they must employ, they must engage their children in reading different types of books. Okay, I think the poem is clear, and if you like my teaching, may subscribe to my channel DM classes on literature and language. Thank you all.